Hello and welcome back to Fujitsu World Tour London 2018, where we continue to bring you insight by vertical. So to recap, if you're a technologist in retail, for example, and you want to understand the very conversations you should be having at board level right now, you simply go and find the retail Facebook Live video, and hopefully we furnish you with that insight. Up next, financial services is what we're discussing. With me, we've got James Alexander, co-founder of Zopa, Hi. And we've got Stuart Wright, business development director here at Fujitsu. I guess with financial services, it's no different to other verticals. Some organizations are delivering digital transformation well, some perhaps want to be doing it for whatever reason, they're not. Others, bizarrely, just couldn't care less. Who are the companies that we should be looking to who are doing it well? Who are the yardsticks within the industry?
In general?
In general, yeah.
I love how Burberry have brought digital right into the heart of their business, into the heart of the customer shopping experience, and basically made it easier for customers to get more of what they want. Smaller example, again from a different field, might be someone like Getir. In Turkey, in Istanbul, you can now basically speak into Facebook or other voice apps and get a delivery within 10 minutes.
Okay, sure. I mean, closer to home maybe within financial services, who are the yardsticks?
I think a great example is an insurance company called Vitality. Insurance companies face a constant problem, which is that certainly with consumers, they tend to touch their customer once a year on renewal. And they've all been looking for ways to get closer to their customer and add value to their relationship, and not just about price. And Vitality have found a way to touch their customers 52 times a year, once a week. People monitor their steps. They do get a discount perhaps on their insurance, but also they get free trips to spas. And when I mention it in the office, a number of people have put their hands up and say, "Oh yes, I've done this many steps today. Oh, I've got a spa weekend next weekend, courtesy of Vitality." And I know that their peers in the insurance sector are impressed with the way they've done that.
A phrase I've heard bandied around a bit today, agile financial services. Help me understand what this is. What does it all mean?
I think mostly it isn't. I think the reality is financial services hasn't been agile. And in some ways that makes sense. I'm not sure, if someone's looking after my money, I don't want them to be fast and loose with it. Now, I don't think agile implies that, but it could. I think the reality is, though, that many of the large financial services players find it very hard to move. Often that's constrained by technology and systems being hard to change. But as much as that, it's often culture as well, and the mindset of people and their willingness to actually say, yes, here's how we can do something, as opposed to find ways to block it. So I think agile financial services must happen more. I think the startups and the innovators are perhaps leading the way, and perhaps what the incumbents need to do is to lean in, find and learn lessons from how they're doing that, and then find ways to bring that back into their culture. But that might also involve bringing in different people from outside of financial services to help them move faster.
With the requirement for change, Stuart, TSB have been in the news of late. From the outside looking in, probably not the case, but the customer view, it seemed that the bank was rushing to change systems to deliver on GDPR, and then I couldn't access my bank account. So we've got to deliver that change in the right way, haven't we?
We do. I think the TSB change was an enormously complex thing, and I doubt very much they rushed it. And when I heard about the news, and I heard Paul Pester on the radio, I think it really reinforced how difficult change is in financial services. One of the reasons is the way financial services, particularly the big ones, the companies have grown, is by a little bit here and a little bit there acquisition. And then when you try and change that, to unpick it all, it's probably almost impossible. It's very, very complex. And so there is a question that financial services companies are facing today, which is maybe they don't change, maybe they build anew. And they let the old systems, the old processes eventually wither away. It's very brave, but we're starting to see that, and I think we'll see that happen more. And the danger is if they don't, and they continue to polish what they have, they'll end up with the fastest dinosaur that ever lived.
Do we think the boardrooms are correctly aligned to be able to make these judgment calls, or are they still being led by technology who the kind of fix, evolve instruction may be coming through?
I think they're becoming increasingly aligned. If I just look at my own background, we founded Zopa in 2005. I think banks ignored it, didn't take it seriously for many, many years. And actually they could have taken that and other people since us as symbols that they did need to move. And I think underlying it all is the challenge in the boardroom between commercial profit and serving customers better. My personal belief is that if you focus solely on what it is that customers really value, as opposed to what it is that you produce or how you make your money, then actually that should be the motivation to change faster. And I think boardrooms ought to be able to align around delivering more value to their customers. Otherwise, why do they exist as organizations?
I guess financial services is very much at the sharp end of consumer-led change. We're all very impatient. We want new technology now. We want responses now. So as consumers, are we driving that demand for change within financial services?
Only partly. So I think it's easy to think about the consumer. Businesses are a very important part of financial services customer base. And they are perhaps a little slower to drive their demands, but they'll be pushing their demands into financial services companies now. The idea of a digital online interface between a financial services company and their customers is infinitely more interesting and complex than say the mass market. I think the drivers for change are not just customers though. There's also regulation and then competitors, which it might be sort of customers another way around. And the smart companies understand that this is all happening. The really difficult thing is knowing which route to pick. It's again, there's so many things changing so quickly that it's almost impossible to pick the right route, and that's where agility becomes important again, because you need to be able to change your course quickly, and that's why you need to be flexible and you need to be able to do it fast. I went to a discussion with the chief executive of JP Morgan in Europe a little while ago, and he turned to the audience and he said, "Can you feel it?" He said, "I walk into the boardroom, it is palpable. The way technology is transforming our business is," he said, "you can feel it in the air." He said, "I've never felt that before." It was, they're absolutely aware that they need to change. The ones that don't will die.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I wonder if part of the challenge is that as individuals, we typically see the world from where we stand. We hold our beliefs and assumptions about ourselves, our sector, our industry, our customers relatively tight. And perhaps the challenge is to augment what we know and our experience, but augment that with an outside-in perspective. And I think quite often, particularly in larger institutions, that's a challenge, because on a day-to-day basis, you're close to your colleagues, you're close to your industry way of thinking, and perhaps to become more agile, you need to broaden your perspective. And actually, because once you see it, once those scales, if you like, become uncalcified and fall from your eyes, that then can motivate change much, much quicker.
I think that's such an important point. The way people live their lives and the relationship between different sectors is that the boundaries are blurring. There's something we call the digital supply chain, and the number of different parties that get involved in a transaction that you can now connect in a way you couldn't. Whether it's as simple as looking for somewhere to live, so finding the right area, looking for a home, calculating how much that's going to cost you, can you afford it, what are you going to change in your lifestyle, how do you insure it, how do you get the legal work done, what schools shall I send my children to, all of that can now be presented to you in a way that could not have been done very easily even 2 years ago, and now it can be presented to you in one go.
Yeah.
And
so a great example, on the way here, I did come in an Uber. I ordered it with Alexa.
I didn't even know that was possible, and I've got one. You got me really excited. I was going into my app. That's wonderful. Right. So seamless technology, responsive as we want it. That's really where industry's going.
Absolutely.
Final question. A number of your colleagues and peers will be watching this. They've probably had their attention piqued by some of the comments you've made. What's the single piece of advice you would give them for digital transformation?
Shall I start?
Yeah.
So you have to focus on the customer. That's not just what customers say they want, it's understanding what drives value for them. James knows this very well. And if you're not customer-led and market-led, then you won't be able to focus on the right things.
James?
That would have been mine, but instead I shall add another one, which is, I think it's about internally providing a space where people can really be and think differently and allow them to deliver. So to get out of the way, get the systems out of the way, allow them to deliver. And if that happens to be or needs to be in a new place, in a new space, in a different environment with a different brand, let them get on with it. Because at the end of the day, it's the customers that will vote, and they will vote by moving away from you. So you need teams that are focused on delivering more value, understanding what that is, and then delivering it for customers.
Interesting stuff. Thank you very much, gentlemen. If you've got questions for either Stuart or James, you can pop them onto the social channels and we will get those addressed for you. Hopefully that's delivered you some insight as to what's happening right now. Thanks for watching.